You know, I learned something fascinating from my mentor, Mr. Schoaf, many years ago. He taught me that success follows the same laws as the seasons. It can't be rushed, can't be forced, and most importantly, it grows in silence. Just like a farmer who understands the quiet dignity of planting season, success requires not grand announcements, but patient, disciplined action. The question isn't whether success is mysterious. It isn't. The question is whether we have the wisdom to work while others talk. Now here's what's interesting about human nature. We live in a time of endless announcements, don't we? Everyone's sharing their next big move, their upcoming venture, their grand plans. And I understand the temptation. I really do. There's something exciting about saying, watch this space. I'm about to do something remarkable. But let me share with you one of the most profound lessons I've learned in my 40 years of studying success. Every ounce of energy spent talking about your dream is energy not spent building it. It's one of those simple truths that can change your life once you truly understand it. I call it the law of diminishing returns on proclamations. The more you talk about what you're going to do, the less likely you are to actually do it. I've watched this pattern repeat itself thousands of times. Good people, talented people, people with extraordinary potential, talking their dreams right into the ground. And you know what's fascinating? They don't even realize they're doing it. They expose their precious ambitions to what I call the four winds of dream destruction: doubt, criticism, distraction, and premature advice. And just like that, their enthusiasm gets scattered to those four winds. That's why I want to share with you today not just a strategy, but a philosophy. The philosophy of disciplined silence. Not because we're hiding anything, but because we understand something profound about the nature of achievement. You see, success isn't built on announcements. It's built on actions. It's not about who knows what you're going to do. It's about what you actually do. There's this remarkable relationship between keeping counsel with yourself and building momentum. Think about this carefully. Every time you share your plans with others before they're ready, you're dispersing what I call your success energy. It's like opening the oven door too many times while baking bread. You let the heat escape. That vital force that should be driving your actions forward gets dissipated in the wind of words. Let me share something fascinating about human psychology. When you tell someone about your plans, something very interesting happens in your mind. You say, "I'm starting a business," or "I'm going to transform my health," and people respond with enthusiasm. They smile, they nod, they congratulate you, and it feels wonderful. But therein lies what I call the premature satisfaction trap. You see, your mind is a remarkable instrument, but it can sometimes play tricks on you. It registers that approval, that validation, as a form of achievement. You haven't actually done anything yet, but your brain is already giving you a little reward. And here's what happens next. It's subtle but devastating. The urgency to act begins to fade. That burning desire that was going to fuel your journey starts to cool. What was once a vibrant dream becomes just a comfortable idea. Now, this reminds me of something I learned during my early days in Idaho. You see, a young man came to me and asked Mr. Rohn, "Shouldn't I tell everyone about my plans? Won't that keep me accountable?" A reasonable question, isn't it? But here's what I told him. Accountability is like fertilizer. Used at the right time, with the right people, it helps things grow. Used wrongly, it can burn everything to the ground. You see, not everyone who hears your plans has earned the right to be part of your journey. Some well-meaning folks will plant seeds of doubt, not because they're malicious, but because they're looking at your dreams through the lens of their own fears. It's what I call the shadow effect. Their doubts cast shadows on your vision. And if you're not careful, those shadows can creep into your thinking like weeds in a garden. Before you know it, you're second-guessing the very dream that once kept you awake at night. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not suggesting you should never share your ideas. That would be as foolish as a farmer refusing to plant because he's afraid of birds eating his seeds. No, what I'm suggesting is something far more profound. Share your vision like a wise farmer shares his seeds, selectively, strategically. and only in soil that's been properly prepared. You must protect your dreams in their early stages, just as carefully as you protect a young seedling from a late frost. You see, one of the most valuable lessons I learned in my early days was about what I call dream cultivation. Just like a farmer carefully selects who gets to walk through his fields, you must be selective about who gets to walk through the garden of your dreams. Find those rare individuals, what I call success nurturers, mentors and friends who understand the delicate nature of growing ambitions. But even with these trusted few, practice what I call purposeful parsimony. Share just enough to get guidance, not so much that your dreams become public entertainment. Now, here's something fascinating about success that took me years to understand. There's this remarkable power in what I call the silent achievement effect. Picture this with me. You've been quietly tending your crops, so to speak, for months or maybe years. No announcements, no previews, just consistent disciplined action. Then one day, and this is where it gets interesting, you reveal your harvest to the world. Not a plan, not a promise, but a finished achievement. Let me tell you, there's nothing quite like the impact of a fully realized dream. It's like the difference between telling someone you're going to plant a garden and showing them a field full of blooming flowers. The results speak with an authority that no amount of previews or progress reports could ever match. This reminds me of two contrasting stories that perfectly illustrate this principle. Years ago, I knew this young fellow, bright, enthusiastic, full of potential. He had what I call achievement fever. He'd caught the dream of business ownership, but he made what I call the fatal announcement error. At every coffee shop, every meeting, every family gathering, he'd lay out his grand plans. He became what I call a professional announcer rather than a professional doer. Months rolled by, and you know what happened? Nothing. All that energy went into talking instead of building. It's what I call the inverse relationship of talk and action. The more he talked, the less he did, until his dream withered like an unwatered seed. But let me contrast that with another story that taught me a profound lesson about the power of quiet action. I knew a farmer, simple man, not much for words, but rich in wisdom. He had this dream of transforming his modest family farm into something extraordinary. Instead of talking, he invested in what I call the silent success trinity: study, application, and patience. He read voraciously, implemented methodically, and waited patiently. When his harvest came in, it was remarkable. Not because he predicted it, but because he produced it. That's what I call victory through silence. The less energy he spent explaining his methods, the more energy he had to perfect them. The less time he spent seeking approval, the more time he had to build capability. You see, friends, this isn't about being secretive. It's about being strategic. It's what I call the protected dream principle. Your dreams are like valuable seeds. They need protection and nurturing before they're ready to face the elements. And here's a question I want you to seriously consider. How often have you felt what I call the announcement drain? That subtle but significant loss of momentum that comes after sharing your plans too soon? These aren't just casual questions. They're diagnostic tools that reveal how much of your power you're giving away through premature revelation. You see, we live in what I call the age of noise. And let me tell you something fascinating about noise. In our modern world, everyone's got an opinion, a criticism, a better way. When you broadcast your dreams too soon, you're essentially inviting what I call the dream diluters into your life. These are the subtle forces, doubt, criticism, unsolicited advice, that can weaken even the strongest vision if you let them in too early. Contrast that with another businessman I knew, a quiet, unassuming fellow who rarely talked about what he was working on. He wasn't flashy or boastful, but he had a remarkable ability to execute. While others were busy talking, he was busy building. And when he unveiled his work, it was always impressive, well thought out, polished, and ready for the world to see. He didn't need to announce his intentions because his results spoke louder than words ever could. This brings us to another key principle. Results are your best advertisement. When you achieve something significant, People will take notice without you having to say a word. Your success will naturally attract attention, and that attention will be far more meaningful than anything you could have generated by talking about your plans prematurely. Think of it as a ripple effect. Your actions create waves that reach far and wide, touching people in ways that words never could. But there's another reason to keep your plans private, one that's often overlooked. It has to do with the power of focus. When you share your plans with others, you're not just giving away energy, you're also inviting distractions. People will start asking questions, offering suggestions, and sharing their own ideas, which can pull you in a dozen different directions. Before you know it, you've lost sight of your original goal, and your once clear vision has become muddled. Focus is one of the most precious resources you have. It's what allows you to channel your energy toward a single point, to cut through the noise and make real progress. And the best way to protect your focus is to limit the number of people who have access to your plans. The fewer voices you have in your ear, the easier it is to stay on track. What would it look like if you applied this principle to your own life? Imagine starting a new project, a business, a creative endeavor, a personal goal, and telling no one about it. Imagine working quietly, steadily, without seeking validation or approval. What might you accomplish in that space of silence? How much further could you go without the weight of outside expectations? This is the essence of what we're talking about today. The freedom to work on your own terms. The power to let your actions speak louder than your words. And the wisdom to protect your dreams until they're ready to be shared. It's not about being secretive or aloof. It's about being intentional. It's about recognizing that your energy, your focus, and your momentum are too valuable to waste on idle chatter. And when the time comes to reveal what you've been working on, when the results are there for all to see, you'll find that your success carries a weight, a substance that words alone could never convey. You will have the satisfaction of knowing that you didn't just talk about your dreams. You made them a reality. So the idea of keeping your plans private isn't about withholding or hiding. It's about understanding the value of your energy and focus. It's about protecting the fragile beginnings of your dreams, nurturing them in silence until they're strong enough to stand on their own. It's about recognizing that action is always more powerful than words, and that results speak louder than any announcement ever could. When you choose to keep your plans to yourself, you're making a statement not to the world, but to yourself. You're saying, I trust my ability to see this through. I don't need applause to get started, and I don't need permission to pursue my goals. That kind of confidence is rare, and it's incredibly powerful. It gives you the freedom to act without fear, to learn from your mistakes without judgment, and to grow at your own pace. And here's the beautiful part. When you succeed, you'll inspire others, not by what you said you were going to do, but by what you've actually done. Your actions will become a beacon, a reminder to others that real progress comes from focus, discipline, and quiet determination. You'll show them that it's not about how loudly you proclaim your intentions. It's about how steadfastly you pursue them. So as you move forward from here, I want to challenge you to embrace this philosophy. The next time you set a goal, resist the urge to announce it to the world. Instead, write it down, make a plan, and get to work. Let your actions do the talking, and let your results be the proof. Trust that when the time is right, the world will notice. And when they do, it will be because you've earned it. Remember, success doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need a spotlight or a stage. It grows quietly, steadily in the quiet moments when no one is watching. So guard your dreams, nurture your focus, and let your actions speak for themselves. That's the path to true success, and it's a path worth walking.